Hey kiddos, Mr. Cubbage here. I'm going to be covering today domain and range for you all. Let me try to get rid of that. I don't know how to get rid of that little thing up there in the corner. But so domain and range. What is domain? Well, when you're given a coordinate point like 3, 7, the domain is going to be the x coordinate, okay? And the x coordinate is always the first coordinate. So the x's, okay? Your domain are your x's. Your range, given that same coordinate point, are going to be the y's, okay? So range are all the y's. And so let's delve into that a little bit deeper. Here's a set of ordered pairs. You have 3, 9, 11, 2, 14, 10, and 34, 9. If you're trying to figure out what the domain is of this ordered pair, well, it's just the first number in each ordered pair. 3, 11, 14, and 34. Those are all your x's. See? X, it goes x and y. That's how ordered pair is set up. You have your x and then you have your y, okay? So for domain, they just want you to be able to identify that. It's 3, 11, 14, and 34, okay? Now the range, put that pen down, will be 9, 2, 10, and 9. And I like to put them in order. That's how they usually will appear in your SOL in chronological order. So I have 2, I have 9, and I don't have to write both 9s, and often your SOL will not write 9 twice. So they just say 2, 9, and 10. That is the range. Again, looking at number 2, for your domain, again, it's all the x coordinates in your ordered pair. -5, -7, -12, okay, and 0. Again, they like to write it in chronological order, so I'll say -12, -7, -5, and 0. Just be able to identify that those 4 numbers match up with your x's, okay? Now, your range, again, are all the second. 10, 11, 22, and 14. So that's going to be, in chronological order, 10, 11, 14, and 22. Again, they have to match up with the second number in your ordered pair set, because those are your y's. And remember, range is y, domain is x. All right, moving on to number 3, your domain. All those first ones, the 9, the 1, the 3, the 14. And again, I like to put it in chronological order. So 1, 3, 4, and 9. And your range will be the 0, the 0, the 7, the 10, because those are your y's. You don't have to write the 0 twice. 0, 7, 10. Okay? That's how to find domain and range when you're given ordered pairs. However, sometimes you're given a graph, and they plot points on the graph, and you have to be able to determine what the domain and range is. So this is just an additional step that you have to do. This coordinate here is 1, 3, because I went over 1 and up 3. The x is 1, the y is 3. 1, 3. This coordinate here is 2, 1, because I went over 2 and up 1. Okay, so 2, 1. This coordinate here, I go over 3 and down 1. Okay, so it's 3, -1. I go over 5, up 0, 5, 0. I'm just plotting the points, kids. Over 4, up 2. then over 6 up 6. Okay. Now I have something that I can work with. So remember the domain are all your x's, the very first thing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The very first number in your ordered set. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Your range will include the second numbers. So that's going to be a negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 6. Okay. Negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 6. So again, the domain's all the x coordinates, and the range is all the y coordinates, or all the y coordinates. Then sometimes you're given a table. Let me zoom in on that and focus it up a bit. Okay. And tables are very easy. Ooh, hocus pocus. Because the domain is that first column, all your x's. That's all it is. You just write everything in that first column. Negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2. Okay? Straight up first column. Easy peasy. Your range will be everything in that second column, the y column. Sometimes they have different names. Sometimes X will say input at the top, or Y will say output, or maybe it'll say study time and grades or whatever. First column is your X, second column is your Y. So 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Those are the easiest because you should write down the numbers you see and the columns. And then sometimes you have mapping, okay, which are just ovals. They're a fancified way of writing ordered pairs. So for example, this will be your x column, that's your y column. So one of the ordered pairs is negative 1, 7, okay? I have 0 to negative 3, 0, 7, and 1, 10. The fact that the 0 has 2 lines coming from it means it has 2 partners. It has a negative 3 and it has a 7. That doesn't matter yet, but when we get to functions, that's going to matter a great deal. So again, the domain, anything in that first column, okay? Negative 1, 0, and 1. And the range will be all things in the second column, okay? So negative 3, 7, and 10, okay? So just as a quick review, the domain are the x coordinates, okay, which are the very first numbers in an ordered pair. The range are the y coordinates, which are the second numbers in a set of ordered pairs. When you're given coordinate points and it asks for domain, you just take the very first numbers that you see and you write them down. If they ask for range, you take the second number and you write them down. If more than one number is there, you don't have to repeat yourself. You can, but you don't have to. When you're given a graph, turn those little points into coordinates. Graph the coordinates. The first coordinate is how many you're going over on the x-axis. So for example, this coordinate here, I had to go over 2. And the second coordinate is how many you're going up or down on the y-axis. So for this point, I had to go up 1. Plot all those points, and then do the same thing you did over here. The domain are the very first numbers. The range are the second numbers, okay? With the table, domain's your x column, range is your y column. Mapping's the same thing, domain, range. Go ahead and do the independent practice on the back. I'd say I'd take about 15 minutes, maybe 10. See you, kiddos.